EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Living with the pandemic hasn't been easy, but that does not mean that life has to fall apart. Work, play, and take care of your finances from home. Connect with friends on social media, hold Zoom meetings with colleagues, and use Co-op Bank's e-banking to pay your bills and manage your funds. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Co-op Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meat and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all arrows, big and small. Reassurance we get. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Tillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5-Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick powered.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. A lot of bungling here this evening, but anyhow, it's all good. Welcome, folks, to my 90th Independent Live session and 36th for 2022. As many of us continue to cope with our anxious energies fed by the plethora of ignorance and thoughtlessness spouted from all corners since 23rd June 2022. That is such an unfortunate statement, but it's also true. And of course, you know I don't sugarcoat anything. Folks, we are in for a rough ride as a people. It's not necessarily looking good on the horizons for us as a civilization. But anyhow, I always remind you to remain focused though. Pay no serious attention to the distractions while your vigilance enables you to push back as hard as you can. Push back that emptiness that is spouting to pull wool over your eyes in light of all the nastiness that's being uncovered, where some people in the past, band of brigands, they thought that the public purse was theirs, and so they could use it creatively to siphon taxpayers' proceeds. The topic for today's discourse is, it is always better to remain silent and thought a fool than to speak up and remove all doubt. Come on, folks, hit that share button and let's get many people into the room, because tonight is going to be hot from the word go. This topic conjures up so many things, it isn't funny. First thing that comes to mind, of course, is that we should pay attention to the Arab verb. He knows not, and knows not that he knows not, is a fool. Shun him. He who knows not, and knows he knows not, is simple. Teach him. Who knows and knows not he knows, is asleep. Wake him. He who knows and knows he knows, he is wise. And what we should do? Follow him. Every aspect of this speaks to confidence. Whether conscious or unconscious, have you ever met a confident, ignorant man or woman? Grenada has deteriorated to become a factory and a warehouse for such. There's always been my belief that when we were created to be of free will. But our free will had to be guided by some education. Education requires the discipline of paying attention and being observant so that we can truly learn. We were not created to be of free will with empty, unused brains. And that is why we parents, who will be our first teachers to bring us up well, and they were already exposed to by their parents, so they're passing that on. This is passed on to us down the line, and in some cases drilled into us from young, so that according to them, the tree is bent while it is young, so that it grows according to the direction it was set in from early in its life. Schools are developed as a tool of reinforcement, so that the products sent by parents to them can be easily molded academically with some important reminders of the social graces and what have you, in an effort to reinforce what was supposed to have already been taught at home. Today's children are coming to schools, for the most part, full of emptiness, as they're no longer coming from homes with the expectation of reinforcement and academic learning. They are coming, for the most part, with nothing of the social graces reflective of any form of efforts of socialization, far less to be ready for academic learning in the main. This makes the job of our teachers extremely hard and somewhat frustrating. And so they have to spend so much time on remedial social articulations that their time spent on academic supervision becomes very limited. Yet for all, we wonder as a nation, what is happening to our national education system? Yes, we know that our education system needs fixing. A matter of fact, overhauling. But let's start with our homes. Our homes need a thorough overhauling. The products we send out there to attend these schools reflect the need of parents for a day nursery during the day, and not a school to really transform the minds and feed the brains of our children. When vacation is on during Christmas, Easter, and summer, you can hear some of those parents, how they behave. They can't wait for school to reopen so they could get rid of their children in the hopes that they learn something in the meantime. The very few children who do well in school are the ones whose parents are happy to have them home for as long as their 3 vacations are. Some of them can't get enough of their children. What a pity that number is very small. They are the ones who deeply bond with them and ensure that they do homework and help them with school projects, etc. No wonder those children do well. Of course, there is the other issue of the level of many of our teachers. That's another issue and for another discussion. I have encountered several young people who have been accepted as teachers, who themselves cannot speak standard English, but they are leaders of a class of impressionable students. Can we expect these students to do well as the subject at the English, when many of them continue to ostracize the language under the guise that that is how we speak, that is we think, as if the books they teach from are written in we think language? Some of the people enrolled as teachers leave much to be desired in basic manners, composure, self-presentation, self-confidence, assertiveness, and the whole 9 yards that make for a well-rounded personality imbued with the virtues and values members of this noble profession ought to come to the table with. I recently saw Sam Jim post something on Facebook as follows, quote, "Math and English and comprehension, in brackets, continue to be trouble areas in CXC, and it shows." But listen to my response to that. It shows up in the way we deduce things and express our deductions as adults, long after we graduate school, at any level locally. We must act to change this. But you know, the People's Revolutionary Government came and met a nation they thought was an illiterate nation in the main, whether totally functionally. They embarked on a program to discontinue this immediately and called it the Center for Popular Education, CPE. Yes, they had some political spin there, promote left ideology, but sensible people still got enrolled and filtered what they did not wish to retain and kept what they desired most, the ability after enrollment to read and write properly, to let them to be better able to reason in life. Simple deductions getting mangled beyond recognition by our people who love to talk and display their incapacity, incapability, and total lack. They don't even have a clue that they fit snugly into the theme for today's program. It is better to remain silent and thought a fool than to speak up and remove all doubt. Folks, let's take a little break here and we'll come right back with some more.
EDDIE-FICATIon with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful. Well, folks, welcome back. But just before we go into the second segment, I just want to pay homage to the people who are online. Come on, don't forget. Remember, please share the live and let's get more people in the room so that they can become edified. Of course, we know, I don't know, it might not be convenient for people to join us this evening. They usually do after, a while, as we see the numbers, a week on, usually be tremendous. But at the same time, it's not, nothing is worth listening to or participating in more than when it's actually hot off the press live. So let's see if we can get some more people into the room. So do some more sharing, please. So on one platform, we have, let's see. Thank you very much, Samantha, Maria, Natasha, Samuel, Allison. Who else? Joss. Oh, my dear, accept my deepest sympathy, my deepest condolences to you. I'm sorry you had to come to Grenada under these circumstances, but these things happen, and I'm sure the contributions made by your loved one will not go unnoticed, and I'm sure he's helped to leave this place a better place just because you were born. So Josh, my dear, blessings to you. Lydia, welcome home, welcome back. Lord, you were missed. Kim K, you also were missed for some time. Marlene, Bev, Veronica, Tarek, welcome. Christine, Roxy, Carmen, Terrian, Elon, yes. Who else? And Michael, welcome, blessings. And on this other platform, we have, just give me one quick minute, let me find that cursor. It's running all over the place. We do have Oswin, Elisa, Kathleen, Rachel, Lima, Linda, Jacinta, Sawandi, my dear friend and brother, blessings to you, my friend. Charmaine, Kerry, Ann, we have Doris, Tamika, Yvette, Ann, April, Sherlyn, yes. We have I Am Grenada, bless your heart, my friend, trust all is well. We also have Shirley Ann, we have David, Jerry, Elise, Sonia, June, Suzanne, David, who else? Bernadette, Glennis, welcome back, my dear. Haven't had you in a while, haven't seen you in a while. Susu, Salsa, I just love all these Susu names. Mary, Dawn, Betty Ann, I'm not too sure that I said that earlier. And yes, so welcome, folks. We have quite a package planned for you here this evening under the theme, always better to remain silent and thoughtful than speak up and remove all doubt. Because when you speak up, you expose yourself, and you expose yourself very, very badly, which is not good. So be careful, folks. Have a little, sense to know if you're not sure of something, don't be speaking loudly. Because as the people from Quite Up will say, people will laugh you. Welcome back, folks. I recall, based on history recorded some 67 years ago, when Hurricane Janet came calling, leaving a trail of destruction behind. It was estimated that it set Grenada back at least 15 to 20 years. When Hurricane Ivan hit in 2004, it was estimated that Grenada could be set back as many as 25 years. It is now 18 years on, and Grenada is well back on its way, and could have been even sooner if we had visionary leaders at that time instead of the bricks gangsters that we just got rid of. We've had other metaphoric storms that hit our shores, to include the pre-independence struggle that had untold negative effects on the national economy, with most of the businesses in Georges looted out completely. This subculture looting thing also made worse the effects of Hurricane Ivan, because many businesses had their share of attack from the miscreant society who made up their minds not to work, and as they were very much in training from 95 to depend on freeness. The extraction of much needed finances from our national economy by entities like Cap Bank, SGL, Clico, and British American, estimated to be over $1 billion, hit the national economy really hard at a time when the 2008 international recession hit and took root by 2010 going forward. Guess what? We survived because of our resilience. The typhoon that was long and slow moving from June 20th, 1995 to 23rd June 2022, which sought to decimate this lovely little island, I believe no number of years is sufficient to average how long it's likely to take to bring back this place to a semblance of anything that resembles the best of our pre-1995 era. Our civilization has taken a serious beating, with bad examples of so-called leaders being followed effortlessly by mindless people looking to eat a food. In fact, values that our society once stood for are all gone in the main. Respect for law and order gone with the wind, as the optimal leader of that period taught everyone how to disregard the law and disobey it. Education was shunned to the point where our children, it became a passage through the system, and many parents happy and celebrating that their children gained 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and up to 17 subjects, even though they came out of school not having any awareness of life, and many of them not able to read and write properly in spite of having subjects. We are all hearing where the real interest of the person put in charge of education of this country was. Not that things have changed. Health gone to the dogs, with inferior leaders of that period brainwashing their supporters to think that healthcare is free, when there is nothing on offer at any of the health facilities of note. That's why it's free, because you get nothing. Nurses placed on contract and working for pittance to the point where they keep exiting the system effortlessly. And those who do not leave, left to react in frustration to the poor treatment and facilities which impact negatively on service et al. Agriculture became a forgotten thing, as even the diabolical leader himself at what time early in his tenure stated clearly he saw that his father died a poor man being involved in agriculture. So you know that was his way of saying he had no time with that. Tourism is paid lip service. And just one aspect I could tell you about, as since the old person in Grenada who might be still alive today was a child, they would have heard the same complaint of no public toilets around the sites and attractions island-wide. So that if we as locals visit, or less visitors, and we want to ease ourselves, we have to take it to the bush as beasts. Interestingly, that still obtains up to this day. And we talk about progress. Our hotel and tourism industry are both devoid of properly trained locals to really run and handle our local industry 48 years on as an independent nation. Room stock weak, and the ones that are in keeping with Grenada being an upmarket destination, oh Lord, too few. Grenada, as we all know, is a service economy. As we do not manufacture anything here, we are not an oil or natural gas producing country. Even though the con man pulled that rabbit out of the hat, his con man hat, on the eve of 2018 generation, to the people about prosperity coming. Up to now, as the old people would say. In the area of manufacturing, the only two things we manufacture here right now are children and confusion, none of which can do anything good for us. If we are a service economy, we need to do better, and it ought to be a policy of the government that this nation concentrate on developing a focus on service excellence. But during the period 1995 to 23rd June 2022 and continuing, is poor to no service in most places that are established to serve people. Our people have moved from innocent to downright crude and rude. Let's talk about religious leaders. They have shown more interest in the financial aspect of their various religions, more than being the moral guardians of their flocks. They operate in like manner to that of do as I say, not as I do, forgetting that people will mimic them and their behavior always. Some of them could hardly read and reason properly, as attested to by them fighting up to deliver their sermons, some of which don't make no sense. Yet for all, they are immersed in the Jesus industry as they have to make a living. The public service, boy, emasculated. It looked like an old jupa. And even if the Public Service Commission, the PSC, is given all its teeth as an independent, standalone entity by the Constitution of the country, minions of the last diabolical administration were put in place on its board to obey the command of the inferior leader with poor intentions and an agenda to hijack the entire service to have his way, ending up in total decimation of the entire public service. Square pegs have been put in round holes all over, with inefficiency and downright ineptitude becoming the order of the day. To me, the transformation agenda of the current administration could very well be in danger. Why? Why? In danger of being stymied by the clumsiness and ineptitude of major ministry managers put in place by the last administration that had no use for efficiency and effectiveness, let alone professionalism. Journalism, oh Jesus, help that one. That one has gone to the dogs, especially between 95 and the present. We see some waking up taking place, only as freedom has come to them, no thanks to many of them themselves. The local media, for the most part, is known as the fifth estate and the fifth bastion of society, and is supposed to keep all the other four bastions and itself in check. The other four bastions, of course, include the parliament, the judiciary, the police, and of course, the church. Now that you see, there appears to be no one around to slam the table and tell them, don't go there. This one-time emasculated and silenced lot all of a sudden seem to have found their voice and want to take on the new administration. Could you imagine that? I have seen signs that the supportive masses of the current administration not having it at all. And we must all stand in line to push them back in their hole where the last diabolic leader had them. Save and except for one or two local media entities who remain consistently opposed to the drakes and gangsters of the period 1995 to June 23rd, 2022, the majority of local media were perceived to have been bought and paid for. What a shame. And today, want to demand that this new administration allow more than 2 questions per media house. So listeners can be put through their infantile and puerile discourse, as if the ministers presiding over the press briefing don't have work to do. Local media just have to remember how media briefings of the past used to be conducted and thank their lucky stars that they are no longer conducted in that manner, where lies and contempt were fed to them to pass on to the public, which they did willingly and without question. All of this said, folks, to illustrate how mangled this society has become, and therefore how far back and the worst Mitchell and his parasitic oligarchy have set this nation. We need all hands on deck to pull this nation from the deep morass in which it finds itself at the hands of this inferior lot of infidels, whom many of you found it necessary to elect time and time again. Shame on many of you. As one erudite Grenadian told me recently, if Grenadians had given the worst Mitchell one more term, Grenada would have been a failed state, even if certain vultures would have made off extremely rich and prosperous in the process. No wonder the greedy and the vultures, the parasites and the suckers are so pissed off with the progressive views of the many who supported change. So those of you who love to run off at the mouth without any substance to back it up, you need to understand one thing, especially as the world has ready access to us via the internet. It is always better to remain silent and thought a fool than to speak up and remove all doubt.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada. A business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful. So folks, welcome back. And for those of you just joining us, I want to welcome you. Thanks for taking time to join us this evening, and continue to share the live, folks. So, thanks for your comments. Thanks for your interactions, of course. You know, if this group of drakes had got one more 5-year term, Grenada would have been irredeemable. And I firmly believe this. It is very bad now, but at least still salvageable with a lot of work. These nastinesses should be taken to a public square and flogged for destabilizing and mashing up our civilization. Every Monday morning we can hear scandal in sports, scandal in social affairs, scandal in housing, scandal in agriculture, scandal in karaoke ministry, scandal in parliament with its services outsourced and no accountability, scandal in education with fake faith presented as a conduit to self pockets, scandal this, scandal that, and scandal the other. God blind you. I mean, it's just disgusting. Totally disgusting. And you know what is interesting? We have people who we've been to school with who know better that supported that rubbish. As I said last week, with absolutely no apologies for so saying, I strongly advise that we repeat our calls for quiet investigations to be carried out and sound the alarm loudly and regularly and repetitively. Investigate, investigate, investigate. Who want to allow that to raise their blood pressure because of their personal guilt and succumb to whatever, so be it. If you did nothing, you ought not fear anything. A lot of you are just too bad and wayward with yourselves. As long as you continue to benefit, you don't care who else live or die in the process, just as long as you benefit. Yet for all of you want to tell me you believe in God. God is of equality, equity, and justice. You say you believe in God, and you continue to destroy your nation, yourselves, and by extension, the world. Could you imagine what you would do if you believe in yourself? Trust me, that can go either way. You can either destroy yourselves with special, undistracted zeal, or with that power, you can make the world a better place. It's for you to choose. A gentleman who claimed that he read an article in last edition of the New Today captioned, "MWAG expresses concerns," told me that, quote, listen to this carefully. He actually sent me this note. When one compares the quality of post-cabinet briefings of the past band of brigands, to use your word, Eddie, with the present lot in office, one can only conclude chalk and cheese. The presentations of the current lot may lack the politics in many cases, but they cannot be classified as lacking in clarity. The of politics notes the intention to present truth and not mamagai. If only our local media practitioners are able to follow logically and deduce as they go along, many, if not all, of their questions would not arise. And is that? I cringe when questions are asked by them because I know those who already answered if they were paying attention. But maybe their lack of practice to develop over the years, when they were fed out of lies and pappy show, and they did not address certain things for fear that there is a backlash from the old Mitchell, caused them to be stuck in time and therefore cannot give what they do not have. In the case of one or two who join these press conferences late, if they would discipline themselves and adhere to the notice of a post-cabinet briefing and join in time like most of their colleagues, they would have been there when what they ask would already have been addressed clearly. This would negate the need to ask any of the foolishness they ask, and in their present construct, they would actually absolutely no questions to ask. For if at all they have any questions to ask, the two they are limited to per media house presently may either be enough or too many need. But they are so accustomed to lies, pappy show, rubbish, and fare of the past, with the additional infantile and puerile nonsense that used to be ventilated by the gangsters and drakes, that they had enough time to be trained well for that time and inferior environment, and hence stuck in that mold. The quality of people in this new government shows them as excuses for a media, on top of which they want to play bold and making demands. Could any of them have voiced any similar concerns during the last inferior dispensation? Wow, unquote. Interestingly, this man is not a man to be animated about anything, and anything related to politics far less. Yet for all, he sought me out to ventilate. This is a worldwide phenomenon, folks, where the people considered the dumbest among every civilization are always the people wanting to have the most to say, and most times say the most. I am one who firmly believe that the man that cannot read or write should not be able to speak, for God help us with them as they speak the most and always up front presenting the most challenges to regular society. They always have an opinion on something and love to ventilate that opinion, which is steeped in ignorance and abject simplicity. Yet we know what the desiderata said about them. Even the dumb and ignorant, they too have their story. But their story is not just what they say, inasmuch as it is enwrapped in the reasons beyond their reasoning. As for every reason, not exposed to learning along the way. In many cases, some of them refused to be exposed to any constructive learning, even though they may have been around the precincts of such positive environments. When one calls the abjectly and stubbornly ignorant by their right name, others who generally don't care about these people in the main, they get vexed and upset because you call them this and want to use that as an opportunity to pounce on you. Y'all must come. I am ready. Sensible people have been taking too much of a back seat for too long, and it is time all you speak up and stop giving way to this plethora of idiots that we have here on offer. When these dotards are not wise enough to remain silent and thought a fool, and instead to speak up and move on out, they should be called out and called out loudly by their real name: dunce and stupid. Social media paints a ludicrous picture of our education system here in Grenada, and not of the current construct alone, but because of the ages of the various acts on the public stage on social media for far too long now. You can see that the system was bad long time now. Goodly folks, we are in trouble. Could you imagine, from 1995 to now, little attention paid to education, and instead people thought that they should, creatively enjoy themselves in that ministry and make it look like thing happening, and ain't nothing happening. The number of people whom I have had to let loose within recent times are too many to mention. The chunk of negativity and bad energy that many of them in Grenada come with leave much to be desired. I therefore have not found it necessary, to go out, socialize, and even mingle and mix. No, sir, it's difficult. I found it necessary to pull back and leave the outside to who can tolerate that nonsense of our deteriorated civilization. As I always say, I love where I live and therefore don't have to go anywhere. Isn't that interesting? I want a lot of you to start being able to say that you don't have to go anywhere because you too love where you live. But folks, remember what I said. It is always better to remain silent and thought a fool than to speak up and remove all doubt. Too many of us are already, we're in that little queue, lining up to speak up and remove all doubt that we just don't have it going on. It's really
Education with consultant human resource development and training specialist EDDIE Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of edification. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
EDDIE-FICATION.
Lovely. So, folks, I want to welcome those of you who just coming into the room also. Welcome. And this is my home stretch now as we get ready to take off. But I just want to lament here how much in trouble we are. A lot of people feel, going out to work, coming back home, having money to pay the rent, having money to do this, that's what the life is not about that. Life is about being able to interact with people. And when you interact with people, you get satisfaction from so doing. But it is so difficult to interact with people now. People have deteriorated. They have descended, for the most part, into that abyss of nothingness. The level of hypocrisy here is disgustingly high. People are no longer real. People look for an opportunity to pounce on you, to beg. Good, they don't know what your situation is. They don't know if you need something yourself. But they always, gimme, they want, because they had from 1995 to 2022 to practice, and they've perfected the art of not wanting to work. Good, you go to even workplaces, you see the kind of lackadaisy in the body language. You could see that the people don't want to be there, you know, but yet for all, they're there. They're showing up only for the money, and they want more money, and they're not doing anything. I mean, it's disgusting, totally disgusting. You go out to many of the restaurants, and oh, Lord help you. Lord have mercy on you. When you go out to these restaurants, the service is so poor, abysmally poor. It is disgusting, folks. Disgusting, to say the least. You know, they come to you in a kind of way, and they don't know that they have to be vigilant with the service, you know, by going back to check the kitchen to make sure things, they bring in cold food for you when you tell them you don't want it. In a kind of way, as if, well, you're just in the market at a breakfast shed. You know, it's amazing. It is downright disgusting. This country needs not, I don't know, transformations like a nice, but this country needs a remake. We need a renaissance, a rebirth of everything, a rebirth of everything. And to think we have the bastions of society like the church and media standing by and allowing this deterioration of parliament, of the executive, of the police. Folks, I mean, it's sickening, man. Sickening. You want to have an idea of how to perceive a nation? Come in as a stranger to that nation, rent a car and drive on the road and see how the people of that country treat you on the streets, on the road, the other drivers as well as the pedestrians. And you get your picture of that country, and you could go straight to the airport now and leave, because you know exactly the culture of that country, or the subculture of the country. And that is where we are now, folks. We have no manners on the road. We have no manners generally. Good. People passing each other straight. That's something you see on TV, American TV. Where you learn that? We are a small country. Everybody knows everybody. Come on, folks. And it's when you say hello, you can see them looking back at you as if, is he for real? Or I wonder if he all right. In other words, something wrong with you for maintaining the values that you were brought up with. You are odd in the society. Folks, I tell you, something is wrong with us. Something is wrong with us. I know. As I take it to the home stretch now, I beg all of you who are programmed not to pay attention, stay wide awake. Do not allow this new freedom that you have won on June 23rd to be whittled away by turning your backs on vigilance. You have to remain vigilant. Those of you who supported because you wanted to replace the old greedy with the new greedy, change your mind. They have nothing left for you to be greedy for. We have a nation to build and reconstruct. That's all there is on offer right now. A nation to reconstruct. I noticed that all the people who are in a box, their life is in a box, they think in a box, and they are contained by this box. I noticed they've stopped wondering what I will be, because I don't know if I tell them I want to be something in the new government. You could see me going in and not shaking up and shaking down wherever I go. leave me alone. I don't want no heart attack. Because I don't take stupidness. I don't intend to stand nonsense. And I good for myself. Good? Stop thinking of me as somebody that want to be colonized by an 8-to-4 work. That is not my culture. I'm not interested in that. I am a human resource development consultant about developing people, training and development. That's my passion. That's what I do. And that's what I intend to continue to do. I don't want to work. I don't want assignment. So all of you who wondering what I get in and how come he ain't get nothing, you go and see what you could get for yourself. Because I did not spend all my time in vineyard for something. I just want to live in peace. I lived in Old Fort for a number of years, and I've witnessed a lot of funerals. And in the hearse is usually a coffin. And in that coffin is usually a man or a woman or a child. Alone, with nothing. My mother brought me up to understand that once your needs are taken care of, you are doing well. Not your wants. Once your needs are taken care of, you are doing well. Because when you are to be buried, you are to be buried with nothing. I am not going to spoil my name to start no agency and no faith and no courage and no whatever they call them, discipline and all kind of name to make a money and to siphon country. I'm not into that. So when y'all want to talk about who this and who that, don't all you look, in other words, if that is what is in all your mind, say that about all your children. Say that about all your brother and all your sister, because that is all you. I'm not in that. Contentment was the road march in our home when I was growing up. Poor like roach, but taught to be contented. Hello? So as I take my leave here, I want you to remember the people who were accustomed to benefiting from this nation, regardless of the cost. You should be wary of them. Do not intend to take a day off. They are not taking a day off, so you must not take a day off too. Because they are trying with special zeal to see how they can bring back the days of largesse, where they could get things. You therefore should not sit on your laurels. Because if you sit on your laurels and not defend against the nastiness of the past that put this nation in peril, you're going to have to live under them again. While you're at it, you're strongly warned to surround yourself with people who inspire and complete you, rather than the people who hypocritically size you up to punks on you. This is your time to live your life with purpose while focusing on your blessings and not on your misfortunes. Focus on your strengths and not on your weaknesses. Be yourself and not wait for the approval of others. Most importantly, have a positive and humble mindset, no matter what situation you are in. Join me in counting your blessings and not your problems, and you will realize how beautiful your life really is, especially since you can think freely and you can travel light. I want you to affirm with me, folks. I am moving forward. I am moving forward. I will not give up. I will not give up. I believe good things await. I believe good things await. I am stronger than they know. I am stronger than they know. For understanding yourself, folks, is power. Loving yourself is freedom. Forgiving yourself is peace. And being yourself is bliss. I beg and beseech all of us to look up and look forward so you can see all the awesome things ahead and above. Every so often, turn around, give a little smile, throw a lighted match behind you, and burn the bridge to nowhere. We have lived through the darkness presided over by the worst Mitchell. We ought to have learnt from that dimness. Let us stop looking back as if to return there where there is so much light. There's so much light ahead. The best Mitchell is about wanting the cooperation of all, and in so doing, he will make us all feel important. Something that is easy for him to do, as he is genuinely humble. I am daring you to be one in your family. Be that one in your family that is committed to breaking the curse and the cycle of poverty and deprivation. As Roy McEwen recently shared on Facebook, don't sit on the sidelines of your own life. Stop being afraid of what others have to say. Bless the world with your greatness, unquote. If you're really alive today, you ought to be passionate about your life and stop being stuck in a rut, allowing the pressure of life to weigh you down. You ought to refuse to take for granted what you have. You have freedom, folks. Guard it jealously because you don't want that diabolical gangster to come back. You weren't created to simply exist or to go through the oceans of life. You were created to really live. You have seeds of greatness on the inside of you. There is something more for you to accomplish. The day you quit being excited about your future is the day you quit living. When you quit being passionate about your future, you go from living to merely existing. In the natural, there might not be anything for you to be excited about. When you look at the future, all you see is more of the same. You know why? Because you see what you look for. You have to be strong and say, I refuse to drag through this day with no passion. I am grateful that I am alive and that I have opportunities before me. I am not just alive. I am really alive. You have to stir up the gifts, fan the flame, as Paul told Timothy in the Bible. When you stir up your passion, your faith will allow the Master to do amazing things in your life. If you want to remain passionate, you cannot let what once was a miracle become ordinary, folks. When you started that new job, you were excited, weren't you? You told all your friends. You knew it was the Master's favor. You were happy. Don't lose that excitement just because you've had the job now for a while. Stop taking your job for granted. Stop allowing what once was a miracle to become a commonplace, an ordinary activity. Keep the investment you made on June 23rd, 2022, very much alive. Keep watering it and nurturing it so that it will never get stale. Spread that passionate vibes around so others feel you and want some of that zeal you have for life. Let us all stir up ourselves, folks. Replenish our supply of the Master's gifts on a daily basis. Like the Israeli people in the wilderness who had to gather God's miraculous provisions of manna fresh each morning. We too cannot get by on yesterday's supply. We need fresh enthusiasm each day. Our lives need to be inspired, infused, and filled afresh with positive vibes every day. So when we go out to hold counsel, and remember, especially if you are popular on social media, it is always better to remain silent and thought a fool than to speak up and remove all doubt. I am in, I'm out, and I'm gone. See you next week, God willing, for regular programming. Until then, I beg you, stay safe, stay well, and remain eternally lifted, folks. Remain eternally lifted. Peace and blessings.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Living with the pandemic hasn't been easy, but that does not mean that life has to fall apart. Work, play, and take care of your finances from home. Connect with friends on social media. Host Zoom meetings with colleagues and use Co-op Bank's e-banking to pay your bills and manage your funds. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Co-op Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, the swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Insurance needed. It's so glad to see peace of mind. That's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Tillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. The winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada, from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, and advice, and opinion pieces, as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.